Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahawah Hakodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have taught us this word, teach us this word today. And I want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Yatazak Bob at the GMS Nebraska camp. This is GMS Endeavor. And in this lesson, what I want to get into is this article here from End Time Headlines titled, Iran Seals Defense Pact with Russia as U.S. nuclear tensions continue to escalate. Now, this update in the news is, steps forward in prophecy. We're going to read into this article and grab a couple precepts and show that this is a further development in Ezekiel chapter 38, and ultimately Russia, warring against Babylon the Great. This is steps leading toward Babylon the Great's destruction and our salvation ultimately. So let's go ahead and get into the article. It says Iran's recent ratification of a 20-year strategic partnership with Russia marks a significant escalation in military and economic cooperation between the two nations, coming at a time of heightened tensions with the U.S. over Iran's nuclear program. Says this development, reported by Newsweek on May 21st, 2025, underscores a broader geopolitical realignment as both countries seek to counter Western influence amid ongoing sanctions and diplomatic stalemates. And let's read this last paragraph real fast here. It says, the agreement signed by Russian President Vladimir Putin and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian in January 2025 and ratified by Russia's legislature in April, formalizes a deep alliance that could include provisions for joint military exercises, defense technology sharing, and coordination against shared threats. Notably, the pact stops short of a mutual defense clause, reflecting Russia's caution about becoming entangled in Iran's regional conflicts. Now, what this is saying is that Russia and Iran are building, a strong partnership between each other. They're basically, they basically made it in writing that they're gonna, share, in defense technology. They can offer and help each other's um military. They're gonna be economic partners. They're gonna trade through each other. They're basically becoming closer. But this last part where it says that it's stopping short of being a mutual defense clause is that where you have NATO, to where if one NATO country goes to war, all of the NATO countries go to war. This isn't the type of agreement that Russia and Iran is making here. It's optional that if Iran was in trouble, then Russia can jump in and help, but it's not obligatory like the NATO agreement is. But it doesn't have to be obligatory because Russia has the option, and through the rest of the rest of what this agreement entails, it's showing that Russia is willing to help Iran in whatever war they're into or whatever they need help with. Russia is just giving themselves the wiggle room to where if they don't want to, then they have that option, but according to prophecy, Russia is going to help Iran. And we read about this in Ezekiel chapter 38, where we're gonna grab Ezekiel 38:4, where it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. Now, Salaki, I should have read up a little bit on this, but this is toward Gog, and Gog is Russia. So the Lord is saying that he's going to put hooks in the jaws of Gog, which is basically saying that the Lord is going to put a warlike mind in Russia to where they're going to go forth with that Soviet Union mindset, with that that warlike mindset. And as we read on, it says, I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And we can see an example of this with what Russia, with the war between Russia and Ukraine. to where Putin isn't accepting any peace agreements. Putin isn't accepting any ceasefire talks. He's just going to accomplish his goal of taking over Ukraine, and that's it. He's saying what he's going to do, and he's doing it. And that's an example of the Lord putting this spirit that is prophesying right here, going on today. But eventually, the Lord is going to cause Russia to jump in, and is going to cause Russia to butt heads with America, because what we have going on is that what's going on right now, Israel and Iran, well, Israel and Iranian backed groups are at war with each other and butting heads. And who is Israel aligned with? America. You have American troops helping Israel. You have American technology helping Israel with that war. And so let's read on in this chapter here in verse 5. It says, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So Persia, the modern day Persians, are the Iranians. And then it says Ethiopia and Libya, you have these African countries. Let's read on. It says Gomer, which is speaking about Turkey, and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, which is Turkey as well, and all his bands, and many people with thee. So it's saying that these different nations are going to join together. And so Russia is going to go to war with Iran. And as the scriptures prophesy, it says that the least of the flock shall draw them out. As a matter of fact, let's grab that real fast, and we'll come back to this Ezekiel. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 20. It says, Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he had taken against Edom, and his purposes that he had purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And what this is prophesying here is that the least of the flock, which is speaking about the Edomite tribe of Amalek, who is the least of the Edomites. The modern day Amalekites are the fake Jews, them Israelis. It says that the least of the flock shall draw them out. This is saying that those fake Jews are going to draw out the different armies of the world together to that region to fight. And we're seeing the beginnings of that right now with the turmoil in between Israel and Gaza. Israel is going against these Iranian-backed groups, and America is getting pulled into this conflict. But Iran is eventually going to be backed up by Russia in this conflict. And you have Russia and America fighting against each other in the same war. This is going to lead to Babylon the Great's destruction. And just like the scriptures prophesied, that's going to be the least of the flock, drawing them out to that is going to pull everybody together to fight. That's going to later end in Esau's kingdom falling. Hey, we see it happening. But let's go back to Ezekiel 38, verse 7, where it says, Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. The scriptures is saying that Russia is going to be a guard to these other nations, because when we look at the military might in the world, the U.S. is on the top. The U.S. has the strongest military, but right behind them is Russia. Russia's the big dog after America, and so Russia is basically going to be a guard to these smaller nations, such as the first one that comes up is what? Persia, which is Iran. So that's all I really want to grab in this lesson. We can read a little bit more in this article and end it there. It says, this strategic partnership is seen as a response to intense pressure from Western sanctions, with both nations aiming to build alternative defense and economic frameworks to challenge U.S. dominance. It says, economically, the Pact facilitates over 95% of bilateral trade between Iran and Russia to be conducted in rubles and rials, bypassing Western financial systems. So you see how, they're joining together, militarily, economically, and they're becoming buddy buddy. Well, they already were, but this is just cementing it. It says, let's jump down a little bit. There was a specific paragraph I wanted to read. Um, no, that's really the point. That's the point of what I wanted to go into. I'll leave the link for this article in the description for the listeners. You can go and read the rest of it yourself. But hey, this is needful. This is beautiful news, because this is an important step toward, prophecy coming to pass, and we need these prophecies to come to pass for, the inevitable return of our Lord, and for the elect of our nation to be saved. Hey, for the end of this kingdom, we need prophecy to come to pass. So, Lord's will, this lesson was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahar Chakodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, and a salutation unto the elect. Shalom.